Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome inside the Lock Shop. Matt, you can turn me up just a little bit. Dusty and Hus with you here on the Lock Shop today. And oh, do we have a few things to discuss, from Shohei Ohtani and the mess there, NFL yesterday, double dip tonight in the National Football League, 2 games on at the same time. We'll certainly get into that. Hus, what's up, buddy?
Well, you know, I should be waking up today. The Jets are in first place.
Yeah.
Lost in all of this was somebody was 5-0 against the spread with those picks. How do you do better than the 4-0 every week? Add an extra
5-0
pick and get that one right. So Barry Horowitz to myself. But there's some other things that I think are, first of all, we have to talk about this Ohtani bullshit.
Oh, my God.
And then we will get into ridiculous narratives from people that have no clue about football, trying to continue to spread the old played out narrative that the Chiefs of all teams, get all the calls.
Oh man, you're right. There's a lot to discuss. And, just quickly on the NFL front, I mean, it was my team that ruined it, because I was 3-1. The only pick I got wrong was the Lions, and the only one we missed in the parlay was the Lions. Outside of that, every single other pick we made this weekend was correct. So the Detroit Lions very much let us down. They didn't let us down overall as football fans as much as the Vikings and Raiders playing a 3-0 game on Sunday, but it wasn't good.
Listen, we're having a tribunal for the Lions later on when Pat jumps in on the show.
Yeah.
We'll determine the future of the Lions in the Lock Shop a little later on today. I have to tell you, I was down at my local yesterday with the fellas watching all the games. And in this bar that we go to, we've got 2 big TVs on the wall. The big one has the sound on it. So we had the Bills and Chiefs on that. We had the Niners and the Broncos sort of on the side. And then there's lots of Vikings fans around Winnipeg. So we had the Vikings game on the other one, on the other TV. So obviously I am locked in on Bills Chiefs. And, you kind of look over every now and then and nothing really ever changed. Guys were punting and it was 0-0. And towards the end of the third quarter, I look over, I'm like, they're just about in the fourth quarter and it's 0-0. And they threw up the stat. Last time teams had been going into the fourth quarter in a scoreless game. Vikings, 1971. Raiders, never. Lo and behold, it happens. And then we're getting into the second half where the game of the Bills and Chiefs are getting really tight. And I could not help myself from continuing to keep one eye on that Vikings-Raiders
You're
game.
a sick puppy, buddy.
That game may have set the NFL back 20 years. Like, it was hilarious, though. I mean, a first down felt like a touchdown in that game. Like, it was, and I should take a look and see how many punts were in that game. But, oh, my God. The Raiders could not do anything, and shout out to Brian Flores in his defense for holding things down. And I hate to say it, but I think the clock has struck 12 for old Pasternaut, Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
He got replaced by Nick Mullins, who was the hero, if we can call him that, leading the Vikings down for a drive to win the game on a field goal. 3-0. 3-0, man. I mean, it's a legendary game. Lowest scoring game in NFL history played in an indoor stadium. That had never happened before. I think there was a 3-0 game a few years back between Miami and Pittsburgh. But if you recall that game, it was, I can't even believe they played the game because the field was basically unplayable. I mean, nobody could run. There was a punt that got punted and went in and just stuck in the ground. So, I mean, this is prime conditions. 2 NFL teams who should be peaking right now, like at their best, 13 weeks into the season. and no, we got that. But as the Viking fans will say, hey, a win is a win. They're still in it, 7-6. On to the next one.
Yeah, hanging around, lurking around. Well, we'll get to the rest of the NFL picture. Obviously, we got some things to discuss with both the Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. But Hus, you said we do have to get to this Ohtani thing because, Friday during the show here, we're almost taking a victory lap. You got him at 25-1. Morosi says he's on the plane. Seaborn says the conference has been scheduled for 6 o'clock Eastern with a handshake thing. It looked like it was a done deal. And then I got home at about 3 o'clock Edmonton time. And I laid down to have a nap, and that's right when the first couple of tweets came out that said, oh, no, Tawny's not on that plane. He's going home. And I was like, enough's enough. I'm going to sleep. And then I get up an hour and a half later to find out the dude from Dragon's Den stepped off the plane in Toronto, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And at that moment, you're just like, okay, well, this is just not meant to be. But I have never seen anything like what we went through on Friday afternoon from the sushi restaurant being, but like, it was insane, man. It was absolutely nuts. And in the end, he goes where we all thought he might go, when the season ended, across the street to the Dodgers. It was just, what a ridiculous day.
Yeah, that's an all-time roller coaster. And unfortunately for Blue Jays fans and pretty much Canadian sports fans, they got thrown off the coaster mid-ride to their deaths. Like, this was... And listen, it's fun. And when you're in these situations, you're looking for things that kind of tell you what you want to hear. So like the Kikuchi rumor about booking the restaurant, I mean, that's a great one. But I mean, that's not legitimately being reported by Big J's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was different. JP Hornstra, Baseball Writers of America Association writer, longtime guy on the Dodgers beat, puts out
the
deal is done.
Yeah.
The deal is done. He's going to Toronto. Now, again, there was all this flight tracking as well. And again, for what it's worth, that's a flight. No one saw him go on that. That wasn't reported. And then Morosi steps in and says, Shohei Ohtani is on his way to Toronto. Didn't say the deal was done, but that was all happening.
He said he was on the plane, right? He was en route to.
You've got respected members of the BBWAA telling fans that this is happening. No shit, people are going to lose their minds and get all into it. Now, we then found out it wasn't the case. But what is really wild, dude, is what is being speculated.
The conspiracy theory now, I know.
That this was basically CAA, the agency representing Ohtani, using Morosi, Hornstra, and others, and basically the Toronto Blue Jays and all of their fan base as a negotiating plan to basically pull out and get, the extra $100 million. Like, this is a funny, interesting way. Brandon Wild tweeted this out. And he says, so putting all the Ohtani pieces together, it looks like.
Oh, I saw this.
Ohtani hoped to land with the Dodgers. It was reported early he knew where he wanted to go, gave him a chance for a final offer. Agent initially wasn't getting the money he wanted. Someone, Ohtani's camp, leaked that he was signing with the Blue Jays and was traveling to Toronto. After those leaves, Dodgers thought they might lose him and came in with a final offer, getting to where they went. So Toronto got played. Like, I do wonder, and I jokingly tweeted Alan Walsh, who always seems to have a take and opinion on everything. Like, can we get an ethics ruling on this? Because to be honest, I'll tell you right now, there's not a single Blue Jays fan or listener of Sportsnet in Toronto that's going to take John Morosi serious the next time he comes on. Like, what's the damage that was done to his credibility, which is his career, by this? So I do wonder on that side of things. But at the end of the day, it just seems so freaking greasy. And then you've got that bow tie wearing bleep Ken Rosenthal and John Heyman telling us all, listen, you might not have liked how everything went down, but it's good for the game that Shohei Ohtani's on the Blue Jays. he wouldn't be lost in Toronto. No offense to Toronto and the Blue Jays, but you need a player like that with a marquee franchise. Like, baseball is so broken, man. And I know, and it's hilarious. The Dodgers they spend so much more money and they still choke like dogs in the playoffs each and every year. I mean, their one World Series since '88 was in the joke of a 60-game season during COVID. But it's so disingenuous. I think they've screwed it. I do wonder what this does to the Jays, like going into next season.
Yeah.
I mean, that was seemingly such a high for the franchise, and now where do they go from here? It's going to be tough to get people fired up for the upcoming season as well.
Well, they're being linked to Bellinger now, and I'm not buying into anything until there's a press conference. Like, yeah, because Bellinger's girlfriend is posting pictures from Toronto yesterday. So, I mean,
those are old pics, by the way. Old pics, because there had been construction change. Listen, we're good at this now. We can dive in and see what things.
Okay.
Fans, who the hell do we trust? Who do we trust? Like, I trust Jeff Passan. He seems to be
he's an automatic, I think. Yeah. I mean, Passan probably the number one guy, in my opinion. The weirdest thing on the whole conspiracy theory, which does sound ludicrous, but everything we went through on Friday would make you believe that there might be a case for it. The weirdest thing is that the original tweet about the flight was from an account that had not had a tweet in it for years and has since been completely removed. So, I mean, that part is really strange to me. If you buy into, okay, what the hell is going on here and what happened on Friday, for that tweet to come out from an account that hasn't been tweeted from in a long time, and then automatically, and now it's not even existent anymore. I mean, something there doesn't add up. This is going to be an epic, absolutely epic 30-30. I mean, it's just going to be insane when they lay it out, because the whole thing was just a farce. And, like, Morosi obviously isn't making things up. Like, he was told by somebody that Ohtani was on that plane. So, somebody's leading. That's why they actually has legs. Like, now, I said this morning on my show, like, if CAA actually executed this to drive up their bargaining position with the Dodgers and orchestrated this entire thing, I'm actually somewhat impressed. Like, I hate that we got sucked into this, but I'm somewhat impressed that they managed to pull that off, if indeed everything that you just laid out was scripted and structured by the player's agent. Like, that'd be insane.
Oh, and let's not forget that freaking Dragon's Den guy.
Yeah, he's a CAA guy.
Oh, yeah. So I think there's enough there for us.
Like, is that just a coincidence that another CAA client is flying to Toronto? Like, I guess maybe it is, but that sure seems strange to me, buddy.
The whole thing is very unsavory. The rich get richer. And on top of it all, a franchise and an entire country and a massive fan base gets just used throughout this entire thing. I mean, it's how you can't have a bad taste in your mouth after this. I have no idea. And part of me thinks, like, I'd love to see the Jays go on an FU tour next year. And
that'd be great.
Kind of rise to the potential that we know they've had as far as how disappointing they've been the last couple of years. But, I mean, I've always loved Ohtani. I have no idea whether he even knew everything.
I was going to say, I'm not even really hanging this on him as a player,
We need to find out more. But the big losers in all of this is the baseball media, because no one believes a damn thing that any of them have to say. And I mean, this is the second year in a row where the biggest fish on the free agent pond has been reported by legitimate sources going to the wrong team. Like, who can forget Aaron Judge to the Giants last year? That was reported big time. It was out. He's done. And now he didn't go. Spoiler alert. He's still with the Yankees.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Extended there.
It just stings, man, because, like, as a Jays fan, a longtime Jays fan, the only baseball team I've ever cheered for, when it came out, I was just like, yeah, but these guys don't come to Toronto. They go to the Yankees and the Dodgers. And sure enough, one of them goes to the Yankees and the other one goes to the Dodgers. So it just, Dose of reality, I guess.
Well, that
But
is
you're
the
right.
thing that
Baseball
really-
media took a huge hit here, dude. Big one.
And here's the thing that really is unsavory about this. Like, by stringing on the Jays to get the extra money from the Dodgers, they completely screwed them, because in the meantime, the Yankees went and got Soto. Now, to be honest, I don't think the Jays would have or had the package that got Soto to New York, but I can tell you they would have been right in it, and they were reportedly in it. Although, who's to believe the reports that we hear anyways? I mean, who really freaking knows, considering what has happened? Oh, and by the way, another guy on my shit list is Shai Davidi. Listen, Shai Davidi writing that column on Friday night, basically chastising everybody and all the fans for getting caught up in this and believing in all this, and essentially blaming them, is such a joke when you think that his own network, the owners of Rogers, were the ones that boosted Morosi's tweet along with Major League Baseball. Like,
and rescheduled their afternoon schedule. Right? Like, they brought in their baseball guys. Like,
and this loser writes this freaking article shaming all of the fans and never mentions any of that. Like, he did not even mention Morosi's report in it. It is an absolute joke. And listen, there's a lot of people. I mean, I get along with most of the media. I've got a lot of respect for them. If I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan, I never read a damn thing from that guy for the rest of time, because he showed his true colors. I had a friend in the media here that actually said, "Oh, a tremendous column by Shai Davidi," and I almost pulled out the cage early for that conversation before we get to the Chiefs.
Well, Pat Gregoire joins us. He's been listening. Where are you, in a car right now, Patty? Are you driving? Your seatbelt's on, isn't it?
Some Wi-Fi issues at the Gregoire household, but I wasn't going to miss this. There's no way I was going to miss this. There's far too much on the docket. I don't know if we want to continue with the Shohei stuff. If we want to dive into it.
Yeah, we got to continue with the Shohei stuff. Then we'll get to Mahomes still bitching about everything.
I mean, what you saw Mahomes do on the sideline yesterday is what I was doing on Saturday morning when I found out everything that we thought was happening on Friday was in fact just a nightmare. It was a dream, but when we woke up, it was a nightmare. Just what an absolute shit show. That's the only way I can think of it.
That is the best way to describe it. You're right. That is the best way to describe it.
Like, Morosi, he should lose. Yeah, Morosi should lose his membership to the baseball writer. Like, whatever. I honestly, like. Also, Nightingale, like, did you hear his statement about him being disgusted with the state of baseball reports? Like, hey, Nightingale, buddy, how many reports have you got wrong, dude? Like, give me a break. You guys have all done this before. This is not anything new. And at the start of it, I told and obviously I'm pissed off at the way that it all unfolded. Ultimately, I'm still pissed off that the Blue Jays couldn't get this done. Maybe they were never able to really get this done, and they were the team that was just driving up the price the whole time. But ultimately, the biggest person to blame in this all, we got to look at ourselves. I've got to look at myself as a Blue Jays fan. I've got to look at myself as a Toronto fan for actually getting my hopes up, because in Toronto, we always get hurt. And this, out of everything, Boston being down 4-1 and coming back, not winning a Stanley Cup since '67, the Blue Jays being up by 1 million runs and ended up blowing it against the Mariners. You name it. You name it. Playoff series against the Nets with the Raptors, anything. You compound all this. This might be the biggest heartbreak of them all. This really might.
Well, and here's why. Here's why. Because, listen, yeah, we get our hopes up when your favorite team is going to win a game and they blow it, or a series and blow it. That's all fine. But this was fed to us for a week and a half or so and got to a crescendo because of people that are supposed to be trusted sources on all of this. I don't blame Jays fans at all for being as excited as they've maybe ever been about a player transaction because of what we were all getting fed. And this wasn't just Twitter guy 0429 throwing out stuff. This is credentialed, formerly respected members of the baseball media that were doing this. And listen, they got played, and I still do wonder. I mean, like a guy like Morosi, like how can he ever go on the Fan 590 again?
Oh, no chance. No way.
What's that's happening? And I mean, so if you get lied to specifically, like, is that not fraud in some ways?
Like to me, he should out his sources, honestly. I mean, he clearly thought that it was legit, and they were clearly screwing him over. Like,
well, fellas, I mean, it's journalism 101. Like, it had to, like, you have to go above and beyond to make sure that you know that your one source is credible, and it's the old adage. It's like it's not right until you get the two sources like correctly. So he clearly was confident enough to do it. Him doubling down all day long. Like I mean, God, we know this is a business at the end of the day too. So like him saying like we could hear where Shohei Ohtani lands as early as today. Well, no shit, as early as today. Like that really doesn't mean anything because there's no such thing as anything early as today.
Yeah.
It's not like he could have signed yesterday because it already happened. But the doubling down on MLB today, him quote tweeting that hit with the Canadian emoji, then him also confirming, that random dude who tweeted out the jet thing, confirming that he was on that plane. Like all of it compounded, and we all got. He got. It's crazy that in the year of 2023, almost 24 in a couple of weeks, that we can't even believe one of the most respected at the time, like you said, us formerly respected reporters. And for people that are putting it on, and again, I know I'm tongue in cheek saying like it's our fault for getting our hopes up. There's a reason why we got our hopes up, but it's like no shit. I think you said perfectly, Hus, off the top. No shit, we got excited.
Yeah,
all the hype was there. I followed a plane for 6 hours. It was on the tarmac for like 3 hours before it even moved, and I had my app pulled up the whole time because I'm like, oh damn, Shohei Ohtani's on this jet.
And we had a time for the press conference. Apparently, you know what I mean?
Yeah, It honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. The 30 for 30 is gonna slap so hard with this. And again, I'm not letting the Blue Jays off the hook. I'm not letting. We're not hanging a banner. I joked about it, I think, on Friday, Dusty, when I was on EST saying, like, if they don't, there's going to be a banner hanging up and saying, we almost signed Shohei. There already is a lot of folks in the media right now that are being like, well, you got to give the Blue Jays credit for at least, being in the hunt. I don't buy that. Bellinger, I need to see him in a Blue Jays uniform before I believe that. And to be quite honest, man, after this heartbreak, like I'm going to have a real hard time getting up for this season. I really am.
Wake me up in April.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable stuff. All right, okay. So let's slide over to the NFL. Hus, anything else on Ohtani for now? I mean,
no. Okay. Let's get to.
All right. Where do we want to where do we want to start in the NFL here? We want to rip the Band-Aid off the Lions first, and then get into the meat of it.
No, listen. Let's start with the Bills and Chiefs and what happened at the end of that game. And all sorts of wise guys, not naming any names, and other experts talking about how it's ridiculous that the Chiefs were as upset as they were after what would have been one of the greatest plays in NFL history was taken off the board for a pre-snap offensive offside penalty by maybe the stupidest man in the NFL, Kadarius Toney. I'm not letting Kadarius Toney off the hook for this because he has now single-handedly lost 2 games for the Chiefs this year. And in fact, He's part of the reason why a lot of people probably believed in the Lions, because he handed over that game literally by himself in week 1. And everybody thought, oh, wow, the Lions are amazing. They went into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. But to call that penalty then, and it's very interesting, 2 different CBS reporters at the game had reported that Tony checked with the referee, pointed at the ref, and went back. They didn't say anything, which is standard on just about every single play. Like Mahomes himself said he'd been in the league for 7 years and had never seen that penalty called.
I thought they said on Sunday Night Football that he didn't check with the refs.
Well, it's funny. Both the CBS reporters have now deleted their tweets, probably not wanting to get in. Tracy Wolfman was one of them. Look it up, folks. But here's the thing. I don't even mind, and I'm not even disputing that he was a bit offside. Like he was.
He was clearly offside.
He was offside.
For that not to be a warning, which happens in just about every case, for them to decide that that's the time to do it is an absolute joke. And listen, you know, 2 years ago, do you know how many times that penalty was called in the entire season? Once. Last year, twice. This year, I guess they're cracking down on it more, and it's been called 11 times in the season. I guarantee you it's never been called in the second half. It's never been called in a spot like that, even close. And listen, for everyone that is a hater that has been waiting for a long time to finally get at Pat Mahomes, because he's not only been the best player in the NFL since he showed up, he's also been almost perfect. Like the guy, he's done everything right. He always says the right thing. Now they're jumping on him right now saying, oh, look at that. No class last night being that play. He just had, and he said it himself. He goes, if you want to say let the players play, let the players play. That's why he didn't say a goddamn thing about MVS getting mugged on the 5-yard line last week on a play that would have certainly turned around that game against the Packers. So I get it, but I also get it why everyone's loving to pile on right now, because they hate us, because they ain't us. Super Bowl rings, 15, Swift in the press box.
Fatty, I'm gonna take this one first.
This is the last loss of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. 4-0 down the stretch and 4 more in the playoffs. Clip this right now.
Oh my God. Listen. I think what we're seeing here today from you, Hus, is the exact same thing that we saw from Patrick Mahomes. And that is a guy who's realizing that it's slipping away from this team because they don't have the weapons to get it done. They've lost 3 at home. They're 4-3 at home. They're just above 500 at home. They've lost 3 of 4 overall. And even if they didn't throw the flag on him, they should have thrown the flag on the right tackle again, because it's been illegal formation all season long, every single time, because that dude can't play the position and he needs to cheat every single time. So I think this is Chiefs fans joining in Patrick Mahomes' frustration that they're realizing that it's slipping away, and that's why he lost it last night. That has to be the reason.
Do you really think that was cheating? Like, do you think that there was any advantage gained from that?
No, but I also think you can't get mad at them actually calling the game by the rules. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's such a bad look for Mahomes last night, is that the officials technically got the call right? Like it
is a bad look. No, but anyone that knows how the line of scrimmage in football works knows that is not when you just decide to, you know what? Why don't we throw one of these in here? That happens all the time. And the refs say, hey, back it up, especially when they go to check, which pretty much happens on every play. So again, it's stunning. I'm not taking away the fact that Kadarius Toney is, without a doubt, the stupidest player in the NFL and maybe in NFL history. And he's done this sort of stuff before. We'll always have his punt return in the Super Bowl last year, which was a big play. I don't know. That was a huge play.
You're right. Yeah, that was massive.
I don't know how they move on from him. I guess we're paying the price now for it. I guess if you would have told us, hey, this guy's going to turn the Super Bowl around, but he's going to single-handedly lose you 2 massive games next year, you would take it. And listen, the receiving room, I'm sure, will be quite a bit different yesterday. But, like, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, this is who we're talking about. Like, these guys have never ever said anything like that, even before.
But I just thought it was so bad when he said it's an embarrassment. Like Andy Reid says, it's an embarrassment on the NFL to call the game by the rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not a good look for Andy Reid yesterday.
Listen.
Penalty guys, sticklers. I never would have thought it.
Listen, it's the rules. We have kids watching. Okay, Patrick Mahomes is a role model, and to see him not even have the courtesy to say "good game, Josh," and instead say,
"You know how that
worst
started?
Call ever."
You know how that started? They went in, and I don't know if you saw Josh Allen put something over his mouth when they went in. I guarantee you, Allen was going, "Sorry, man, I can't believe that got called either." Like he probably was embarrassed about how that. I'm not joking.
Oh, here we go.
There
is still time on the clock. There is still time on the clock, and as a Buffalo Bills fan, as long as you have 13 seconds to score, the game is not over. And I was thinking to myself, yes, maybe I had a little bit of a log in my pants after that play.
Listen,
but I was thinking maybe.
For all you sticklers for the rules, where's the outrage that Von Miller, who was clearly offside 2 plays later on that play, wasn't called?
Well, he should have checked with the official, I guess.
Well, no, because he wasn't getting called. And listen, this is a little more stressful for me and somewhat PTSD because I was in Arrowhead Stadium in January of 2019 when Tom Brady threw what would have been a game-ending interception in overtime.
Yeah.
And yet Dee Ford was lined up offside. Again, it happens far more often. Like, you never see it called on the offense. It was called on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, and that was just another reason why Tom Brady, has been the beneficiary of some of the most incredible calls that have said, I mean, that, and then obviously Seattle. I mean, those are 2 Super Bowls right there that that absolutely shouldn't have happened. But we won't get this on down the Brady rabbit hole.
Well, I mean, let's get it twisted. It's not like Mr. Mahomes is one that hasn't been on the right side of some other friendly calls as well over his career and this team. Like, I mean, the woe is me is a bit much. It's a bit much for me, especially a guy like Josh Allen who is consistently picking out grass from his face and picking himself up off the ground because he takes an absolute licking. Mind you, a lot of it is because
self-inflicted.
He endures it himself. But I do not feel sorry for the Kansas City Chiefs. I am sorry.
No, I feel sorry for all of you because guess what? This is the start of the heel tour of the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what? Fine. We'll do the heel turn. We will turn that around, and we are going to roll through the next 4 games. I cannot wait to see. I hope that the Super Bowl odds, everyone like, these guys are done. I cannot wait until the futures come out tomorrow to see what we can get the Chiefs at right now. And then, folks, it may not be the annual Arrowhead Invitational this year because I don't think both the Dolphins and the Ravens, even though they play each other once, will lose the 2 games to get there. So I'm pretty sure it's going to go through Baltimore or Miami. So, you know what? For the first time in his career, you guys are going to have the pleasure of seeing Mahomes win a playoff game on the road. And then...
Never done it before.
When we all get to, you know what? Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's a first for everything. First time not winning the AFC.
I can't even argue with you on the fact that the Chiefs are probably going to win it because after not getting the call yesterday, they're going to get every call the rest of the way this season.
Oh, yes.
And will probably win a title because of it. You know?
So
proper call.
Since you said you feel sorry for everyone here because now the revenge tour starts. I feel sorry for everyone because I have faith. I have hope. I'm all back on the Bills, fellas. I was so out on them. I'm
This is the
back.
guy
I
who
mean,
5 minutes
look
ago,
at here.
5 minutes
I've
ago
got
on this show.
it's Victory
It's my fault
Monday.
for getting
I'm
my
still
hopes
wearing
up.
my Bills. It's Victory Monday. I'm back. I thought this team was dead. I was hoping they were going to miss the playoffs. I was hoping Sean McDermott was going to get fired. He can throw out all the 9/11 references he wants. If this team's going to win, I'm all in on the Bills and Joe Brady. We're back, and I cannot wait to get hurt again. I'm so ready to get hurt again.
Well, with their schedule, you might. But if you look at the overall big picture, 7-6, they're now what? 6 teams at 7-6? And those other teams that they're fighting with, I mean, there's not a lot going on for a lot of those teams right now. If the Bills had an easier schedule, I think I'd probably be right there with you, Patty. But they got a couple of tough tilts coming up, don't they?
But hey, they're peaking at the right time. They go up. They obviously next week against the Cowboys again. Yeah, sure, they beat a good opponent in an Eagles team, but how good has the Eagles? How good have the Eagles really been? Like that defense is putrid. They go against the Dolphins, obviously always a tough opponent, but again, who have the Dolphins beat that are above 500? Literally nobody.
And they get the Chargers and Patriots in there, right?
Grabs, guys.
So that should be
the division is still up for grabs.
The division.
Well, speaking of divisions, Hus, are you worried about the Broncos?
Okay, we've taken enough shots at the Chiefs. I think it's time we start talking about the Lions.
I'm dead already. I've never seen Hus give the silent treatment before. That was legendary.
I realize this is an audio format for people that are listening on the podcast. I apologize.
I
thought he froze.
Me too.
Incredulousness. I mean, the answer to your question is no, I'm not worried about the Broncos. There will be. Here's the Chiefs' schedule the rest of the way.
He's not
I
done.
think we got the Pats next week. There is the Raiders. Yeah, Patriots, Raiders, Bengals, Chargers. Bengals actually, Bengals, that game is at Arrowhead. Bengals are right in the mix, though, too, to be honest with you. But no, they're going 4-0 the rest of the way. They will finish at 12-5. They will, in all likelihood, be the 2 or 3 seed in the AFC. They will play on Wild Card Weekend for the first time, I think, ever. Well, in the Mahomes era. They might have a home game in the divisional playoff. They might not. And then, unless Baltimore and Miami choke in the playoffs, which is definitely on the table.
Absolutely.
The AFC Championship will be somewhere else. But one team, as we transition on, one team that I'm not sure we can be that confident in anymore is the Detroit Lions, who yesterday prevented what would have, I think, truly been a perfect week in the lock shop. By the way, Patty prime time. Nice work.
Yeah,
again.
Nice work, buddy. Well done.
I was on it.
Well done.
Thank you.
They got lucky against the Bears on Grey Cup Sunday. I still can't believe, what did they score, 17 points in the last 238?
If you want to call having an amazing offense late lucky, then yes. Yes, they did.
Oh, here we go.
Listen, I thought the Bears were tanking. I thought the Bears were trying to lose that game. Well, they weren't trying to lose on Sunday. And, I don't know. Like, listen, I think they're minimum suspended for the next couple weeks. I'm fully in for a ban for the rest of the season for the Lions if you guys want.
What's crazy is their next game, you're going to be cheering for them because they're playing the Denver Broncos, who are knocking on the door of the Kansas City Chiefs right now. So,
great.
With that being said,
no, you know what?
Not going to bet it. That's an easy one. Well, I won't.
Where is it in Detroit?
It's home. It is in Detroit. Yeah. So that's a different beast indoors.
Well,
protected
I
by the
I hope they get their act together and can do it, but I certainly do not have any confidence in it. And if
we're banning the Lions,
up for a partner parlay, they get muted.
If we're banning the Lions and put them on the shit list or whatever, I'm not going to sit here and be opposed to it. I went away from them 2 weeks ago myself. This week went back to them. Clearly was a mistake. I thought they'd look after the ball better against the Bears this time. They did not. And they deserved what they got, man. It sucked. I watched that entire game start to finish. I did not want to sit down and watch them lose to the Chicago Bears. No, I thought Justin Fields actually played okay-ish. I mean, he got his legs moving. He does have a gun. Like, when he lets that ball fly, he can absolutely zip it. Like, there's a lot of potential there still in Justin Fields. It's just a matter of getting the most out of it. But, yeah, I mean, Pat, where do you come out on this? Like, what did we be? There's what? They got 4 games left. Do we ban them the rest of the way? Do we ban them until the new year, right? That'd be 3 games. What do we do?
Home to the Broncos, at Vikings, at Cowboys.
Take the over in the Dallas-Detroit game, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from a side perspective, I think it's a 2-game sussy at minimum. Maybe we test the waters with the over in the Cowboys game and then go from there.
Yeah.
I just think for me, it's definitely we don't bet them for the rest of the year away from the Dome. I mean, they're a completely different team. They're indoor cats, man. They can't play in the cold. They can't play. As soon as they get out, they're tough. You know, they're meowing, they're purring at you, whatever inside. But do you leave that back screen door, go out and they venture out and they see what the real world's like? It's a different kitty cat, and that's exactly what the Lions are.
They don't play outdoors again the rest of the season. The rest of their games are they're in a dome somewhere. So that helps.
I love at the start of the year, I was all in on the Lions. I was betting them a lot, and then the tides turned, and whatever happened. Whether they came back to earth, the book figured them out, whatever it was. But then I started adding them to teasers, and they weren't even covering for me for teasers. And then yesterday on my teas, I had the money line, and they couldn't even save me. So I think we need a break. We need some space. Me and the Lions need some space. We don't have to see other people. It doesn't have to be exclusive, anything like that. But I just need some time away from the Lions right now. At least 1 or 2 weeks. I can't do it. I cannot do it again. But that over in a couple of weeks, that sounds great. I'm in for that.
Okay. You know what? Agreed. 2-week suspension. And
only
the only thing that we can do is the over in that game.
Done.
Which will be set at close to 60. I would think, with the way the Cowboys offense is playing right now. So yeah.
Hey, let's quickly get to these 2 games tonight. The line, very similar to the Niner game yesterday. The line keeps going up and up and up for the Miami Dolphins at home against the Tennessee Titans. The Packers and the Giants. Packers are 6-point favorites. You know, we talk about the flex Monday night. Like, you know what would be great if they could just flex the opponents and we could get Green Bay and Miami playing, and then we could get the Titans and the Giants playing. So nobody's doing it. I'm pretty sure that will not look too good. How's this though for a total? Tyreek Hill over receiving yards 109.5.
That's crazy.
It is.
Wow.
But you know what? I think I'm taking the over on it. Like, I really think that in a game like this, prime time, like, they think that he might be able to win the MVP.
Yeah.
He certainly is in line to break some records. And I think that they want to get those records in 16 games and not have to have the asterisks of the 17th game. Like, I could see Tyreek Hill going for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight. Like, I think it is going to be a ton of Tyreek.
I mean, that's hard to argue. I also have a fantasy football matchup where if Tyreek gets, I think it's like about 17 points ish.
You're good.
I know I'm good. But 17, I think it's 17 and a half or something like that points for me to win. And then that could potentially give me the number 1 seed in my fantasy. So I'm all in on that. But I feel like that's a sneaky storyline that no one's really talking about, is that with the fact that no one's running away with the MVP, and it's unfortunate. It's become like a quarterback driven award. Like, let's just go to the actual definition of most valuable player. He's by far the most valuable player to that team. What we're seeing from him this year is ridiculous. That offense doesn't tick without him. Tua doesn't put up the numbers that he's put up without him. Like, this should be his award. It's just unfortunate because he doesn't take snaps under center. He might not win it, but if these quarterbacks continue to, like, I feel like Dak might be the only thing standing in his way because
like if Dallas can get
Cowboys.
Somehow if they can track down the division, I think there'd be a legitimate, real nice case for Dak, right? Like
exactly. The numbers he's putting up are pretty ridiculous. The Cowboys, they're a lightning rod, right? Like it's you either love them or you hate them, and that's kind of the same way in the media, even really, right? So I think Dak might be the only thing standing in his way, but the Cowboys' schedule is not the easiest thing remaining either. So I think they feed them. I think that they're also realizing that, with KC losing, but with the Ravens winning, like now all of a sudden, like the first seed in the AFC is a possibility for this team. They feel the Buffalo Bills nipping at their ankles. This is a big game for them. So I totally agree there. In terms of a spread or a side, I don't, it's a lot of points, but
they're crushing everybody, though. I mean,
especially the bad teams, they're absolutely.
What about the over in this game?
What's it at, Hus?
It's at 46.
Well, I could see the Dolphins putting up 35 on their own.
I was just going to say, how many points?
Exactly.
Yeah,
how many points?
There's another player prop I really like. A-Chain for a touchdown at -120. I brought it up today on our show. I was just looking. He's taken significant snaps in 4 games, and in those 4 games, he has 7 touchdowns. And it's -120 right now. So I like him for a touchdown tonight, too, if we want to throw that in. If we're just looking at like a full-blown Miami routes this thing, I love what Huss said about Tyreek and the yards. If we want to throw the over in there, I totally will. What's the team total for the Dolphins? What's that at? Probably like 30.5 probably or something like
that. Yeah, it's off the board right now, but yeah, basically 30. It's anywhere from like 29.5 is -128, 30.5 is -104.
I take the over on that team total for sure. A-Chain touchdown, Tyreek Hill over 109 yards. I mean, if you guys want to throw that in, I don't know. What else are you thinking?
I mean,
I could see Tennessee scoring some points in this.
So you like the overall total better?
Yeah, well, listen, if you guys are really strong on
I think you make a good
other,
I think you make a good case.
No, I mean, I think if the Dolphins hit their total, I think the game total's hitting as well. Like, I mean, I know the Dolphins defense has been playing a lot better as of late, but I mean, I think Tennessee can still get it done offensively. It's, I think they're still trying to figure things out with Levis and that offense. And I don't know. I think the over is the play here. If we're looking in the other game, I mean, that's a gross game. I think over field goals is definitely a play. No doubt about that. I like Saquon, though, rushing yards. The Packers, I know there's a lot of talk about how their defense has really stepped up as of late, and they're starting to figure things out, but that's really through the air. Against the run, I think they're almost giving up like 4.5 yards per carry, which is like, bottom 10 in the league. Their average yards on the run, bottom 10 in the league. And let's be honest, I love me some Tommy DeVito, but I don't think he's going to be lighting the world on fire by any stretch of the imagination. I think they're going to feed Saquon. So I don't know
what about
Saquon's
rushing
I think
total.
It was 69.5 last I checked.
Yeah, 69.5.
Nice.
And you know what? I'm in on Jalen Reed over 47.5 receiving
I was
yards.
just looking at that, Huss. It's funny you bring that up. Too. I was just looking at that.
No Watson.
Yeah.
No Watson. So someone's going to have to catch the ball.
Yep.
Jordan Love was unreal last week against the Chiefs.
He's been good for a while, buddy.
Nice game from him right now. I like Reed more than Dobbs, but to be honest, I like both of those guys. The Dobbs number is 43.5 in the for the Packers.
Well, we took Saquon yards.
Yeah, okay. Saquon over 69.5.
Over 43.5.
Reed over 47.5.
And then we would need one more. What else you guys? Dobbs receptions is over 3.5, but it's -154. But if we're going to throw it into a parlay, that's not bad. What about 20.5 completions for Jordan Love?
I'm good with that. I like that.
Huss, what do you think? Let me bring up his game log here. Let's just see.
I just do wonder if they get into a position
where they don't
they're
have to
way
keep
up.
throwing. Yeah, that's what
Where
I'm
they-
wondering.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only issue, I guess. You're right.
He has gone over 20 and a half completions 6 of his last 7 games. The only one he didn't was a 20-3 win where he still had 20 completions, and that one was against the Rams. So, but yeah, that's always a little bit of a worry there.
I don't mind the Tucker Kraft number either. The receptions over 2.5, it's minus 156. Or what's his total? It's
28 and a half.
28.5. 28.5 at minus 110.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. You want to throw that in there?
Let's do it.
Over 28 and a half?
Well,
Okay, so
so we get 2 relatively reasonable Packer receiving props and the Barkley rushing
okay,
prop.
and then in the other game, we're over 46 and a half. A-Chain TD and Tyreek Hill.
Go
over
45 and a half.
45 and a half?
Because it's 46. We got to
Okay.
go one way or the other. Go to 45
Yeah,
and a
go to
half.
45.
Patty,
I like
let us know if Jake's not watching, and we'll have to send these to him.
Oh no! I know he's
Okay.
watching. He said he made a bowl of popcorn and was ready
Okay.
for this episode.
Yeah, well, I
There
think it was
no
a good
way
one.
he was missing this one.
I think it was a good one. So, yeah, but one more time.
Oh, yeah.
One more time, Jake. Over 45 and a half in the first game. Tyreek Hill over on the yards and an A-Chain TD. And then Reed, Kraft over on their totals, and Saquon over on his rushing yards. There we go. There's your 2
Hey,
parlays.
and just before I go, I see Rod Z he's got a bunch. He likes the team total over 30 for the Dolphins. Levis throws a pick, but Hill scores first TD. I love that.
I love that.
And he said it's plus 350. I'm looking right now, and as I say, these are locked for a minute, so I'm sure they're just recalibrating. But it says Tyreek 4-1. I will be Rod. I ride with you on that one.
Yeah.
I will be on Tyreek Hill as the first touchdown scorer. Boys, we'll have to do. I mean, there's so much more NFL stuff we're going to need to talk to. Full recap of the week tomorrow on the Lock Shop, and then
100%.
some hockey picks as well.
All right, boys. That's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Patty, thanks for staying safe with that seatbelt for the majority of the episode, man. That's awesome. Huss, get some sleep. We'll talk tomorrow about some NFL, all right? How's that sound? See you later, buddy.
See you, boys.
All right, what's going on? It's the Fantasy Football 5, and it'll be about 5 today. Obviously, we have an oil stream coming out. That was a great episode of the Lock Shop. And Huss is just a Chiefs fan on tilt right now. That's just what it is. I mean, that was great, though. That was a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody for watching the Lock Shop a little bit earlier on here. And, of course, make sure you subscribe to all the podcasts as well. We're churning all that out in addition to all the live stuff that we are doing here with the Fantasy Football 5 right now. We'll take a look at some starters for tonight. If you have any questions, maybe you have a dilemma tonight. I don't know. Hit us up. The 2 games tonight still to go. 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. Or in the nasty chat as well. Double 3A says, I have to make up 48 points. A-Chain and Levis playing tonight. Not sure I like my chances. Yeah, I'm not sure I like your chances either. But A-Chain could get 20. I mean, he could get a couple touchdowns again. I mean, if the Dolphins' offense continues to roll, I think it's more likely he's in that 14 to 18 range. I just don't know if you're going to be able to get the help from Levis to get that thing done tonight. Uchaz says, I'm down 30.66 points with the Finns defense, kicker, and Mostert. Need a big game from Mr. Raheem. That's not bad. That's doable. Dolphins defense, kicker, and Mostert. I mean, a couple touchdowns, you're probably there in that one, I would think. So that should, yeah, I like your chances. I'd say I think there's a better chance you get it than you don't. What's that win percentage at right now, Big Uke? 55-ish? You're like a 55% chance to win it? 50-50 maybe? What do you got right there? Let me know. I'm kind of intrigued by that. 780-218-9999. Of course, you can join Lieutenant Eric tonight. 2 games, lots of TVs at the Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino. Our Super Bowl party will be at Century Casino as well. Should be a really good time. Looking forward to that one between the Lions and the Chiefs, obviously. All right, let's get to, as far as tonight goes, starts and sits, there's not a lot going on. Jordan Love, definitely with the way he's played lately, I think you're probably pretty comfortable starting him as well. Running back situation with Green Bay always is what it is. You're starting these guys, but you're not overly happy with these guys. It's been a tough year in that position. We talked about Saquon a little bit earlier today. You're obviously going to be looking at Saquon there as well, but not an overall great night from a fantasy perspective in the Giants-Packers game. You're starting all of your Dolphins, obviously, and then you're starting Henry, you're starting D-Hop, and the same old on that side. Dusty, I'm not sure on the percentage, but I'm projected for 25 points. Yeah, see, and what, you need 30? Considering the way that offense has been rolling right now, man, I think you get your 30 points tonight. But I could end up just being a little overzealous because we're flying high after an excellent episode of the Lock Shop. For the guy who has A-Chain going tonight, so A-Chain has taken significant snaps in 4 games this year. Here are his numbers in those 4 games. 18 carries, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, 2 touchdowns, 47.3 points. Ridiculous. Actually, that's standard. Wait a second. Let me bring up PPR. My God, this must have been a monster of a game. 51.3. So that's when everybody was like, oh, my God, waiver claim. And I did get him that 1 week in my big boy league. And then I left him on the bench last week. And it sucked. But 51.3 points, that was in week 3. Then in week 4, he got 8 touches on the ground, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then in week 5, 11 carries, 151 yards and a touchdown for 21.5 points. I mean, as far as averaging points per game where he gets the ball more than twice, he's got to be at the tops in the league. Last week, 17 carries, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches, 30 yards, 25.3 points. So in his 4 games with significant play, because in week 2 he had 1 carry, 1 catch, and in week 11 he had a carry, and then he was out again in week 12 as he's trying to get back healthy. In the 4 games that he's played, it's 51 points, 27 points, 21 points, 25 points. I mean, it's insane, and that's while splitting time with Mostert. So yeah, I guess double 3A. I'm telling you. There's a pretty good chance, considering the dude you're running out there tonight in A-Chain's averaging like 28 fantasy points per game when you include that big 51-pointer. So you got that going for you tonight. If you are addressing your Dolphins tonight, you obviously have to like what you're seeing from a fantasy football perspective. Of course, it is playoff week in our one league, and congratulations to Matty Iwanek. Looks like he's advancing to the quarterfinals. No, quarterfinals now. That's right. That's big. How far did you go last year in that league?
I think quarterfinals. I had the bye. I had the division win bye.
Oh, okay.
And then I lost the next week in a close one.
Who'd you lose to last year? Do you remember?
Bradley.
Who'd you beat this week?
Stunners. Or not Stunners.
I was going to say.
Sissies. Corey.
Okay, so he's out.
I had a great week, as always, but it's not even close to me in what the other teams are doing in this league. I think only Potsy's near me or better than me in points. But I think I get Stunners next week. This is the team I don't want to play.
That's the team with Mahomes, who's going to be on revenge game.
He's going to be revenge. Got Tyreek Hill. I don't know now what's happening with Justin Jefferson, though. That changes things a little bit. But
so here's the team that Matty rolled out in week 1 of our playoffs in this Rusty Truck League. It's a 16-team league. That's why playoffs are starting a little bit early. Justin Fields, nice game for you, 27 points. Moss, 7 points. Got Mostert going tonight. He's probably been your MVP this year, eh?
Keenan Allen's been great.
Keenan Allen's always great.
He's been great.
Amon St. Brown, 4 points. Keenan Allen, only 9 points. Njoku, 22 points. I had Njoku. I started Freiermuth ahead of Njoku this week. Could cause me a playoff spot. I'm sick to my stomach. Devontae Smith, just 6 points this week. And then Tucker and the Broncos D.
I benched the Bills D because they were going up against the Chiefs.
You also had Cooper Kupp on the bench.
I have Cooper Kupp on the bench.
19. Cooper Kupp on a bench.
A couple of weeks ago, I played Kupp, not Smith, and it cost me a game. It cost me the division.
This could be a championship
this week I flipped
roster,
around.
buddy.
This
could be a championship roster right here.
I was the highest scoring team in the league this year. So, I consistently, my teams put up those points. It's going to be, I got to make a couple decisions. It's got to figure out Moss versus Devin Singletary, and I need to figure out Smith versus Kupp each week.
Yeah,
those are the 2 decisions I have to make, and that could honestly make or break me winning or losing a week. if I choose the wrong guy. And twice this year, I've already chosen the wrong guy when it comes to Cup and Smith. So
You have to hope that Sissies doesn't get 58 points tonight, and Mostert does nothing.
yeah, like I should.
He's got HA. It's a battle of Dolphins running backs.
Yeah, but in the end, like, I don't think he's got 3 guys. I've got 1, but I've got the massive lead, and I still have the one that could do some points. I should get over 100.
Yeah.
If I lose, he had just the most incredible Monday ever.
That would be. You're right. This would be. Well, right now you're a
I can't
99% favorite to
Like,
win.
I
you would need. You know how? You can't say that.
No.
'Cause
I
Mostert
should say
could get hurt on the first
yeah,
play.
I didn't mean
AJ
I
runs
can't
for 4
lose.
touchdowns.
I can't be upset if I lose.
Yeah. No,
Like,
that's it. You put up a good effort
I couldn't
there.
do anything else. Like,
Yeah.
it would just be okay, whatever. I'm never
Yeah.
winning in this league again, like, or ever. Like, that's what it comes down to.
All right, that is the Fantasy Football 5 today, brought to you by our wonderful partners at the casino on Fort Road. Join Lieutenant Eric tonight. He will be there for both of those football games because they kick off at the same time. 2 primetime games tonight in the National Football League. Join Lieutenant Eric tonight at the Sports Bar and Lounge, Century Casino on Fort Road. He and his merry men will be there for those games tonight. Oil Stream coming up. The Oilers have won 7 in a row. Rather impressive. Stick around for that. Make sure autoplay is on YouTube. We'll guide you right over. And, of course, if you're listening on TuneIn or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you hear a little bit of Whale and the Wolf. And then right back into the Oil Stream coming up here in less than 3 minutes.